Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our comprehensive Zero to Expert training program in Azure Cloud. Whether you are aspiring to become a cloud solution expert or a cloud engineer, this training is designed to equip you with the essential skills and knowledge to excel in the rapidly evolving cloud computing landscape. Our program covers a wide array of powerful cloud tools in Azure, including the Microsoft Azure Portal, Azure DevOps, Git version control, Terraform, GitHub, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, Azure Data Studio, Azure Data Factory, Visual Studio Code, and CLI tools such as Cloud Shell, PowerShell, and command prompts. Our syllabus is meticulously structured to guide you through core aspects of the cloud, including introduction to Azure Cloud, compute, DevOps and infrastructure as code, cloud monitoring, cloud storage, identity and access management, cloud governance, cloud database and analytics, cloud security, and networking. Throughout this training, you'll gain hands-on experience with the tools and technology that are crucial for building, deploying, and managing cloud-based solutions. Our goal here is to transform you from a beginner to an expert ready to tackle real-world challenges in the Azure cloud ecosystem. We are excited to have you join us on this journey to become cloud solution experts in Azure. Let's embark on this transformative learning experience together. Our practical hands-on training in Azure Cloud enables all our candidates to be eligible for the Microsoft certification AZ-104, which is the Azure Administrator Associate certification. Candidates going through our training are able to easily excel and get their certificates with little to no stress, having gone through our hands-on practical training and theoretical approach. It is important to know that with the training from SCASTAC Solution, candidates need no prior IT background or experience at all. The Azure Cloud is a very easy field in IT to grasp and learn, and candidates are taught from basic to advanced levels so that they understand the hierarchy of learning all the different modes of the cloud from the introduction phases to the expert level. Some of the key benefits that we provide as SCASTAC Solution to make learning an ease for our candidates are key areas such as providing weekly practical labs to our candidates, and these labs are also giving grading criteria, giving candidates the capability to get grading and review their work and learning knowledge based on a score of 100%. All classes are also recorded for students to easily go back to each class recordings to easily relearn an area or focus on an area for improvement or more extensive learning. Documentation guides are also provided that enable candidates to easily guide themselves as they go through our training as well as their personal learning. We also provide full project samples that candidates can use while deploying applications or working on infrastructure as code to deploy their cloud projects. It is important to know that the Azure Cloud Solution provides six-figure careers. There is also no coding involved within the Azure Cloud, and all modules and parts of syllabuses for the Azure Cloud are very easy to learn and grasp. As mentioned earlier, some of the key tools that are going to be utilized during the training for an Azure Cloud Solution Architect with SCASTAC Solution are the Microsoft Azure Portal, GitHub repositories and actions, Docker Hub and Docker Desktop, Azure Storage Explorer, Git version control, Terraform, Bicep, and a host of other tools. As mentioned earlier, one of the certifications that can be earned after your training as an Azure Cloud Solution Architect with SCALSTACK Solution is the Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate certification. And these will be the areas that will be in focus, such as the virtual networks, storage, compute, identity, security, governance. All that will be covered extensively during our training. We also have other areas that we will be covering, such as the PowerShell, Azure CLI, Azure Portal, Azure Resource Manager templates, as well as the Microsoft Entra ID. We guide our students with following through with all this learning, as well as taking a practical test before their real certifications. The other more advanced certifications you can gain after completing your training in Azure Cloud with SCALSTACK Solution is the Microsoft Certified Azure Solutions Architect Expert, where we'll be going deeper in courses such as compute, network, storage, monitoring, and security. This will be a great role for people interested in the Azure administration, Azure development, and DevOps processes. Here, we would also guide students with the learning paths, theoretically and practically, as well as how they can go ahead with taking practical tests right before their certification. As we can see from a very concrete and recent date from Glassdoor, June 6, 2024, Azure Cloud Solution Architects earn an extensive six-figure salary ranging from $143,000 per annum to $231,000 per annum. This ensures that you are not just learning and gaining a new career in the IT field, but you are also making significant salary incomes. As you can see through this live Glassdoor website, there are different roles and huge companies within the Fortune 500 brackets that provide different jobs within the Azure Cloud environment. Even from our Glassdoor perspective, students can go ahead and start applying for jobs once their training is complete or almost at the completion stage. During the course of training as an Azure Cloud Solution Architect and Cloud Engineer Expert, students are provided with a wide array of documentation references. This documentation covers areas such as architectures that students can use to add as an additional learning while going through their practical and theoretical training as an Azure Cloud Solution Architect. Students can leverage architectural diagrams such as the private endpoints, and over here you can see that this architectural diagram provides the provisioning and deployment of a private endpoint that supports an application service website provided with a virtual network that supports a private endpoint that is then connected to a virtual machine that makes this particular cloud implementation highly secured. Other vital areas of our documentation provided are recordings. The recordings provide links to recorded classes that the students can go back to learn more easily on classes that have been covered. We also have a database documentation that covers different database implementation while students are going through their cloud training. We also have access to our practical labs that students can always easily reference again to get a very strong grasp of laboratory works they've worked on in case they want to try it out again. We also have areas in our documentation for security where students can go ahead and implement various security implementations for the cloud. When taking a look at the career statistics as well as the jobs availability, you can see over here from this LinkedIn that while putting in the Azure Cloud for the United States, we have over 57,000 jobs available in the United States, many of which are also remote, by the way. Students get to see positions like the Senior Cloud Engineer and look at the details and see how they merge with some of our syllabus. For example, we can see our proficiency in scripting languages such as PowerShell and Python. We can see the implementations of technical skills in areas such as Microsoft Entra ID. In comparison to other cloud solution areas, you can see that with the Azure Cloud, there are over 57,000 jobs in the United States. And if we go ahead and look at other examples such as the AWS and click a search on that, we would see that there are only 7,000 jobs within the AWS cloud field. This goes to show that the Azure Cloud has more significant job roles compared to the AWS fields. Hence the reason why Azure Cloud is the leading innovative player within the cloud space. As you can see, there are over 57,000 jobs for the cloud solution architect. When you visit our website within the cloud, you can gain extensive knowledge on all the different courses and IT fields that SCASTAC Solution offers practical hands-on training on. When you scroll down, you can see history of other students that have also taken trainings with SCASTAC Solution IT. As you go down, you can go into areas such as IT trainings to take a look at some of the extensive details we have for the Azure Cloud Solution Architect. Over here, you can see some of the tools that are covered are listed, as well as the high-level certifications students can gain. Over here, you can enroll in our course using the Enroll Now, and you can read a little bit of introduction into the Azure Cloud Solution Architect training. You can also view current Glassdoor salary confirmation details on what cloud solution architects currently earn in the United States. Further down, you can always download a copy of our syllabus to take a look at all of the individual areas and modules we'll be covering for the Azure Cloud Solution Architect. It is important to remember that we do provide extensive learning guide documentations as students go through their Azure Cloud Solution Architect training with SCASTAC Solution. Over here, you can see some of the tools utilized as provided in our learning guide, and you can see a list of the different tools that were mentioned earlier, such as the DevOps, Git, Terraform, Azure Portal, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, Azure Data Studio, Azure Data Factory, and so on and so forth. This section of the learning guide gives us a very detailed explanation on the course outline and areas that will be covered, such as introduction to Azure Cloud, Azure Compute, DevOps and Infrastructure as Code, monitoring, storage, identity, governance, database and analytics, security, and finally, networking. As we go through the learning guide, you can see that it is very extensive in details, providing students with high-level content for each modules and syllabus section, such as the introduction to Azure Cloud, covering areas like introduction to cloud computing, multi-cloud computing, cloud computing services such as IaaS, PaaS, software as a service called SaaS, as well as serverless computing. The learning guide goes on to give details about the different types of cloud computing, benefits of cloud computing, as well as uses of cloud computing. This is a very extensive learning guide for the students to guide them through their training as an Azure Cloud Solution Architect and Azure Cloud Engineer. As we scroll down, you can see so many details that are provided for the students to have a very solid understanding in their career as a Cloud Solution Architect. The learning guide also provides various practical hands-on lab tests that guide students towards putting in what they've learned in the class technically and transforming that to a more practical learning and real-life world experience. Our architectural diagrams provided to our candidates through the course of their learning experience as a cloud solution engineer gives them a very good grasp of what they're expected to learn throughout the course of their cloud solution learning in the Azure environment. As you can see over here, students will eventually come to understand how you start up creating and setting up your cloud environment, deploying and provisioning different cloud services and resources while putting in place security, monitoring, as well as infrastructure as code, practices and implementations, utilizing resource groups, choosing different deployment methods, deploying and provisioning resources that are independent of other resources, and finally configuring those cloud resources once they are successfully deployed. The Microsoft Azure portal will be where we will be spending most of our time implementing, provisioning, and deploying cloud resources, as well as administrating access to different cloud resources and accessing of items within the cloud environment. Students will become experts in navigating the Azure portal, using the more services to access different category of Azure cloud resources, such as the compute that we talked about earlier on, to create very, very innovative and modern day cloud resources, such as our virtual machine skill sets, our availability sets, app services, Kubernetes services, and so much more. Under our analytics as well, students will gain very solid understanding of how to implement, provision, and deploy data factories, as well as Synapse analytics and other key items. Students get the knowledge of how to implement various cloud category services to transform them into viable cloud resources to be used by organizations such as different Fortune 500 companies all across the United States. A case example in this case will be deploying and provisioning a resource group, which would be selected over here, and then students can go ahead to create a new resource group as easily as clicking the right buttons. Over here, students can give a new resource group name here called resource group, shortened or abbreviation as RG, and then giving a particular business information to have business owners and other teams members understand the naming convention as well as what the resource group stands for within the business organization. In this case, students can easily add words such as sales DP, which is for the sales department, and then establish that this is for the East US location within the organization, and then also notify people that are looking at these resource groups to make them understand that this resource group is for the production environment, labeled as PROD. Here, students will be able to now give this resource group a specific unique ID, such as providing it with a 5-character item here to have this resource group have its own unique identifier. In this case, students can go ahead to use the HYF6D to have this resource group have a unique identifier. Thereon, they are provided with a check mark to let them know that this particular resource group name is available and can be utilized. Over here within the region, the students get to choose what specific part of the United States like this to be deployed within the cloud. As you can see, we have a wide array of different regions across the world. Over here, students can easily choose the East US and then navigate to the next tab over here called the tags. The tags are like metadata information that gives your resources more meaningful information and insight by different business users, teams, and other people within the organizations. Over here, to give this resource group more meaning, students can go over here to name this particular area as a department and define this department as the sales department within the organization. They can further go ahead to add a team that owns this particular cloud resource and provide that as the finance support team. Students can also go ahead to provide the project that they are currently working on, which will be a project they could be working on in a real business organization. Over here, they can go ahead to say that this is for the new green energy projects. They can also go ahead to provide other details such as the cost center. This cost center could eventually be used as the cost center in which the business organization would know what specific team to build based on what cloud resources they've been creating. Over here, students can go in to put in the word CST PR85M6. And this, in the real world scenario, would be a cost center designated to the team in the cloud called the finance support. Having provided these meta tags that are in key and value pairs, students can then go ahead to review and create their provisioning state for their cloud resource. Having received a validation pass, students are now aware that they can go ahead to deploy by hitting the Create button. On clicking the Create button, the resource group will then be deployed. On clicking the Create, they get a successfully deployed cloud solution, and that solution becomes available over here. Students can then go into this cloud resource group to then start putting in more administration and configuration tasks for this resource group, as well as deploying new resources within this new resource group. The students start deploying other cloud resources, such as the Application Insight that is used for monitoring applications deployed to the cloud. They can go ahead to hit the Create button over here. And then that pulls up another provisioning state for the students to start provisioning different configurations to deploy the Application Insights. Over here, they can choose from the resource group that we just recently created, called the Sales Department Resource Group. The idea behind this is that when this resource is deployed, it will then be placed under the resource group called RG Sales Department ECUS Prod 8Y F6D. This ensures that cloud resources are appropriately grouped into virtual cloud folders called resource groups. In the cloud, we call this logical containers, where the resource groups can have items of resources for different business purposes. This ensures that business organizations know what team owns what resources, as well as what resource groups each resources fall under. This can be seen as your normal computer, be it a Windows or Mac, having different folders such as your documents, your pictures, and your videos that have associated and related types of documents placed within them. Students can then go ahead to provide a name for their Application Insights resource. Over here, they can go ahead to name this Insights, and as an abbreviation, App Insights. They can then later move to providing the department this belongs to, such as the Sales DP. They can provide the location, the environment, and the Application Insights own unique ID. In this case, this could be 8YF01. The next, they can validate the region to make sure it matches with the region within the resource group. They can select their subscription, which is the point of the organization's billing for this particular Azure account. It is also tied to a log analytics workspace that is being utilized by this Application Insights. Students can then go ahead to provide the tags that will give this a proper business meaning. They can go ahead to fill in the departments. They can go ahead to select the cost center. They can select the team to specify that they own this cloud resource. They can also then finally select the project that this is for. This could also be for the new green energy project, or this can be for a subsection project within the new green energy projects. For now, we can select this option. Students having provided this can then go to the Review plus Create to validate, and then once the validation is passed, they can go ahead to deploy this cloud resource. Remember, it is being deployed under the resource group. Once that deployment is in progress, you get presented with the deployment progress stage that shows you that the deployment is currently in progress. After a few seconds, the deployment is successfully complete. Students can look at the deployment details to look at what was deployed during this provisioning state. Having seen these details, the students can then jump into the resource group where this new resource belongs under, or they can go directly to that resource that was just deployed. If we go to the resources over here, students can then see all of the details containing the new monitoring cloud resource that they've just deployed, with the naming over here, as well as the type of Azure cloud resource it is. The students have the left menu options to further configure, observe, or manage different features within this cloud resource. As we can see, the tags that we implemented earlier, they are being positioned over here for any member within an organization to take a look at this cloud resource and know exactly what the business purpose is for, as well as the teams that own it, the department, the location, as well as the cost center associated with this cloud resource. Students can then go into the resource group that has this particular cloud resource to further examine and analyze what is going on with that virtual folder or logical container. By clicking the resource group, they are taken to the folder that houses that particular cloud resource that we just deployed. As you can see right now, we have one cloud resource inside our cloud resource group. And so that shows you how easy it is to provision, deploy, configure, as well as administer cloud resources. Finally, it is important to note that SCALSTACK solution provides post-training benefits that makes students easily excel amongst all other different types of trainings out there. With SCALSTACK solution, after students complete their trainings, they get interview preparation experiences. This entails actually having live one-on-one mock interviews that cover two different aspects. One aspect is the theoretical interview, where students will be theoretically interviewed on questions where they will be required to provide feedback answers depending or based on the questions that were asked to them. The other phase would be the practical, where students will have a practical experience and exposure towards responding to an interview where they have to solve real-world practical cloud solutions. Students are also given continuous access to all class recordings for them to easily go back and relearn or master certain areas of the cloud that they might need to reflect or go back to for further learning. SCALSTACK solution also works with its candidates to provide resume building to help students easily navigate the new world of cloud solution once they've completed their training. The resumes are highly professional resumes that guide students towards easily jump-starting their career with a very solid professional experience, having completed their training with SCALSTACK solution. We also provide guides on the different Azure cloud certifications, enabling students to easily sign up for their cloud certifications within the Azure, as well as being able to easily complete their certifications, bag their certifications, and present that to their new employers. Thank you very much for listening in, and we hope to have you as one of our candidates that is eager to jump into the cloud technology, excel in their IT career field as a cloud solution engineer, and propel their new experiences into real-world experiences. Thank you very much. This presentation was brought to you by SCALSTACK Solution. Do look out for our website, scalstacksolution.com, to learn more and gain more details about the IT trainings we offer, as well as being able to reach us on email, where you can reach us at techinfo@scalstacksolution.com. We hope we've provided you with a well-detailed information as data needed to guide you and make your decision as a cloud solution architect or cloud engineer within Azure Cloud.